$60 for the best of it? You're insane. You're joking me. You know what? Here. Where's the graphics options? I'm at 130. I can't even lower it down to 60. Oh, here we go. What? What's happening? It's like I'm looking down a scope all times. This is horrible. Hey again, this here's a 10 out of 10 where we talk about games that are all, well, tans. And yes, that even includes games where you play as a freaky whale man that changes their smell just to attract little girls?
Big Daddy make a terrible stink. Very smelly. Maybe something can be done, but the little sisters seem to like the odor.
Right. Well, today we're talking about the critically acclaimed series, Bioshock. At this point, the Bioshock games hardly need an introduction, and it's pretty hard to pick a favorite, but I'll bet my best head-smashing wrench, it just might be the second one. Why? I don't know, I said it might be. Bioshock, in general, is a first-person, wrench-swanging, weird sciencey type magic wielding with a little bit of stealth and light RPG elements type shooter. Each game has its own version of a daddy adjacent protagonist. You start with a silent daddy's boy, move up to a proper thick whale daddy, and end with a morally questionable detective who's very much lacking in the daddy department. And despite the underlying motives, in each game you face the worst, most evil kind of antagonist there is: scientists. Jokes aside, each Bioshock game generally follows the same gameplay formula. You shoot guns, you throw plasmids, and you're a walking death machine fueled by the rage of 10 dads who've lost their best pair of New Balance sneakers. The first Bioshock released back in 2007, and the third entry, Bioshock Infinite, came out in 2013. Obviously, a lot of improvements can happen over 6 years, so comparing the visuals is a bit of a wash. However, in my opinion, all three of these games still look great in their own right, and the graphics still very much hold up even now. Besides, the remastered editions of Bioshock 1 and 2 have leveled the playing field quite a bit, so to speak. In short, in my opinion, all three games are pretty equal in terms of graphics and visuals, so there's that. The gameplay, however, is where things get a bit more decisive. For the most part, each sequel increases the action elements a bit more than the last. In Bioshock 1, you play little old Jack, a lowly, weak, dad bod-lacking soy boy who's only got one good sweater and a wrench. Due to the lack of overall power and abilities of Jack, and well, most humans with normal genes, you're forced to spend most of the game sneaking around as you try to ambush, overwhelm, and outsmart your enemies.
Exploding, sir! Give him the combo. Zap him, then whack him. 1-2 punch. Remember, the 1-2 punch!
Eventually, with the help of plasmids and the power of good old genetic engineering, you do eventually become quite a force to be reckoned with. But even still, the combat remains pleasantly straightforward. Use plasmids to interrupt or pinpoint weaknesses, then blast them with your guns. You really can't beat the classics. In Bioshock 2, you play as Delta, a nice thick daddy of a whale, human, diving suit, hybrid thing. And even though new enemies and dangers make survival much more challenging than the previous entry, an evolution of the combat system really elevates this game. There are new plasmids, weapons, and the long-thought and possible technique of using two hands at the same time. With Jack, each combat is a testament to your planning and survival abilities. But as Delta, combat is even more than just satisfying, it's fun. You'll find yourself reveling in the many ways you can tear through enemies as little sisters cackle and cheer you on through the manslaughter.
It's dancing, Daddy, dancing!
They really are kind of cute. deranged and frightening, but still a little cute. And finally, in Bioshock Infinite, you play Booker DeWitt, the aforementioned daddy-lacking man, who is essentially John Call of Duty himself. Combat is still engaging and challenging, but there are just so many strong plasmids, weapons, and equipment that it won't be long before you maniacally laugh and blast your way through each encounter with ease. It's not that combat is too easy, it's just that you're simply too strong. With modern FPS standards like a recharging shield, melee takedowns, and the ability to literally materialize items you need to stay alive, the enemies just don't stand a chance. As you can hopefully see, each game takes a dramatically different approach to combat, and everyone's got their preferences. However, out of all three, Bioshock 2 just feels the most right to me. The plasmids are extremely versatile, and each one feels unique. The upgrades provide inventive alternative uses, and all the plasmids really are viable. But come on, any game that lets you force lightning like good old Papa Palpy deserves more than just a few cool points in my book. Plus, the weapons feel way more impressive and imaginative than the other two games. Jack and Dwight got guns that go shoot, but Delta's got freaking laser beams attached to his arms. And besides all of that, there really just is something special about the way it feels being a nice, thick, big daddy. Right. And it seems as though the developers of Bioshock Infinite agreed. Or at least they got bullied into agreeing. The Burial at Sea Episode 1 DLC is essentially, in my opinion, the pinnacle of combat in all three games. You're tough, the enemies are tough, and you have tons of options of how you want to kill and avoid being killed. It's pretty good stuff. And finally, there's the story. Bioshock 1 and 2 have pretty interesting and engaging plots, but it essentially boils down to protagonist fights the big bad evil. Bioshock Infinite, on the other hand, has the nonsensical, totally out there story that makes you question if it even makes sense. And sorry, but that's my jam.
If you won't listen to me, perhaps you will listen to your mother.
On the other hand, Bioshock 1 and 2 have more player choices that actually affect how the story unfolds. So, in the end, it's a bit of a toss-up. Do you like pure weirdness, or just a little weird with options? So where does that all leave us? Bioshock 1 is a great entry with an unforgettable atmosphere and style that will always be remembered as the beginning of something great. Bioshock Infinite is a very unique entry that took a lot of chances. The combat is as action-packed as possible without sacrificing too much uniqueness, and you either love or hate the story. And Bioshock 2 is kind of the just perfect Goldilocks blend of them all. Rapture is a great setting that I enjoy just a bit more than Columbia, and the combat, story, and overall gameplay just takes the best pieces from the first game and makes them better. Each game has its perks, and I just like Bioshock 2 a bit more than the others. But in the end, the Bioshock series is all around great, and you should give it a try. Who knows, one of them just might be your new favorite game.